Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming. I had quite a bit of people ask about the 5-star rating we use on our live streams and wanted to go through exactly what the 5-star rating is. So let's get started. The 0 to 1 star rating basically means this is varying degrees of broken. We're going to come across a lot of games that either don't work at all, you can't finish them, and they're not even playable. So for example, a 0-star rating would be Magnavox Odyssey's Brainwave. Brainwave is a game that you need cards, and similar to a board game, it's not the video game only that you can use to play it, you have to have something else. So it is a 0-star rating. A 1-star rating means it's a bad and broken game, but it still has some functionality where you're actually playing or doing something to make it work. A lot of the star ratings we're going to use in our live stream are going to be based on what other games we see at the time, because we're going to be playing every game in order of release. So we're using that as our gauge to determine if something is broken or not. So let's move on to 1.5 to 2 stars. This is varying degrees of bad games. For example, a 1.5 star game would be Mortal Kombat 3 on the Game Boy. It is a bad game. The frame rate is terrible, and based on when it was released, you had a lot of other options that were better. And a notch above that one would be a 2-star, which is still a bad game. For example, Bubsy 3D is widely regarded as just one of the worst games ever, but it still is playable and it actually functions as a game. So it would be considered a 2-star rating. A 2.5 to 3-star rating is varying degrees of average games based on everything else we've seen that year or in all the other consoles and computers and arcade systems. So a 2.5 star game would be Aero the Acrobat 2 on the Genesis. It is an average game, a lower end of an average game, because a lot of the things we saw around that time were mascot platformers. And it gets the job done, but you know, it's an average game. A better game, just slightly but still average, would be Galaga on the Atari 7800. Galaga was something they'd already seen in the arcades, and there's lots of other ports, but on the 7800, it would be an average game for the time. So let's go to 3.5 to 4 stars. This is varying degrees of better than average games. So a 3.5 star would be considered like Soul Blazer on the Super Nintendo. This is better than average. It is obviously not the best RPG on the Super Nintendo, but it is a better than average one. And then a notch above that, still an average game, would be Zelda, A Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess on the Nintendo Wii. So it is just in the range of average, or what we see in the market and in the area in the industry at the time. So moving on to a 4.5 to 5 star rating, these are the best games of all time. A 4.5 star game would be, for example, Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And then a notch above that with a perfect rating would be Doom, because these are ratings that not only are good games, excellent games, but they also push the boundary of what other games want to be and shape the landscape for video games. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of what the 5-star rating is whenever you check me out in the live stream.